Test one, two. See if it's live here. All right. What is up, guys? Welcome back to our weekly stream. Uh, he said, "Are you a college grad?" I'll get into that later. I'm trying to see if everything is working properly. I think everything looks great. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday, and welcome back to the stream. I think I'm gonna do these every Sunday, or maybe I'll do it more often. Um, how are you guys doing today? Let me know if you can hear the audio. If you're having any problems with the audio, let me know so I can fix it on my end. I'm still learning how to stream and the settings and everything. All right, so you probably saw the title. Today I want to talk about how you can get a job right after you graduate from college. And before I can get into that, I will answer your question. Are you a college grad? Yes, I graduated about a year and some months before, maybe a year and a half ago. That's when I graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in finance. And then, hey, good night. Hello, how are you? And feel free to just ask questions in there if you have any questions. I'm gonna be going over how you can get a job right after college. And also, I'm gonna go over, some comments that, DMs that I haven't responded to, and some YouTube comments that I wanted to expand on. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead and. All right, so the question is, how can you get a job out of college? Like, what's the best way to get a job fast? Because you're gonna get a job eventually, but how do you do that fast? How do you how do you get a job? So the biggest problem is with people that work in finance, obviously, is you want to go to Wall Street, you want to go to you want to be an investment banker, jobs that are going to pay you like six figures as soon as you graduate. Those jobs are not meant for everyone, right? If they were, it would all be getting paid a lot of money. But it's just a select few that get chosen to do those jobs. So if your focus is those jobs and you apply and then somebody else gets the job, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay at home and wait for that job. And the next time they have, positions open, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna apply? When you do apply, are you gonna get chosen? And most of the time, what happens is, if you want to go into investment banking, you're looking at companies that recruit from college, right? So that's why you have to go to like target schools and things like that. But if you are, going to a regular school and then you apply for investment banking, or you don't get recruited, and then you wait for the next time they're hiring, they're not going to you for the job. They're going to the college graduates. They're going to the seniors in college because they want to recruit from a school. So that's why I say, if you're if you want to get into investment banking, things like that, you have to go to a target school. But to go back to the main point, which is how can you get a job fast in finance? So first thing is you got to change your mentality. Like you're not gonna get a six-figure job as soon as you graduate unless you might have a 4.0 GPA, but you can believe that there's thousands of other people that have a 4.0 GPA. So your GPA doesn't matter. Now it depends on who you know and things like that. I've gone over this in previous videos, but how can you get a job fast out of college? So the best thing I'll tell you is change your mentality. Do not think you're gonna get paid six figures as soon as you graduate. You gotta be willing to start at least $45,000, $50,000 a year, and those are gonna be your basic analyst jobs. And sometimes you might even have to work for smaller companies, right? Because I know a lot of people want to work for the Fortune 500 companies. Those are competitive. You want to work for, let's say, JP Morgan, right? That's really competitive because everyone wants to work in those companies. Now, if you go to companies that are, less popular, and you're gonna get paid regardless, right? So it doesn't matter how popular the company is as long as you're getting paid. So now if you go to companies like a mid-sized company, right? You're gonna be getting paid money at the same time you're gaining experience, right? So you have something to put on your resume. Because one thing you don't want to do as soon as you graduate from college, let's say you get, like a, financial analyst job, you work for, a couple months, now you're looking to move to a different company. You don't want your college stuff on your resume. The only thing from college that should be on your resume is gonna be, the college you went to and the degree you got, right? And you might even put like when you graduated. But the only things you need from college after you graduate is gonna be the name of the college and the degree you got. That's it. Anything else that you put on there that's from college, that shows you haven't grown, right? So to get a job in finance, the first thing I said is to change your mentality. You're not gonna get paid $100,000 a year because if anyone could do that, everyone would be working those jobs, and the demand for those jobs uh, would go up. And when the demand goes up, it's gonna be really competitive. Like it's already competitive. It's gonna be like twice in the competitiveness. I mean, it's gonna take you longer to even like work in those environments. So here's what you want to do: apply to the mid-sized companies, apply to the smaller companies, apply to the companies that no one talks about, the companies that don't have clout. All right. So if you're focusing on clout, I want to work at Google, I want to work at this. And a lot of people that I've seen that are unemployed, they're like, well, I have a finance degree, but I don't have a job. I have an accounting degree, but I don't have a job. And you ask them, where did you apply? And then they will tell you like two or three companies, right? And well, what did they say? Well, I got rejected. Why? I haven't heard back from them. It's been a while. That's why I'm unemployed. Now, if that same person had applied to more companies than just the few that they picked, the few top companies, then they would have had a better chances of getting a job. So just to go back on, and I'll get into this some of these questions I have later on, but just to go back into the main point is the first thing is you got to change your mentality. You're not gonna get paid a lot of money right after you graduate, so don't bother applying for those jobs. You can apply for them, but just don't make them your only option. And secondly, it's okay to go work for a smaller company. And what happens when you work for smaller companies is you're gonna get a lot of experience, right? Because sometimes if it's a small company, right, that's paying you money, you're gonna be wearing a lot of hats, especially in finance, right? They say you specialize in building models. Sometimes you might have to talk to the client. Sometimes you might have to step in for your supervisor and do a meeting, right? So you're getting to wear like a lot of hats. So that's a lot of experience that you're gaining just from that. Now, if you can use those skills to transfer to a bigger company, right? Because you actually have like real life experience. You're not just basing it off of your college experience that's on the resume, like I was in this organization. But if you have real life experience, you have some type of leverage, right? So, and that's one thing I would say as well. Like for those that want to go into investment banking, let's say you didn't go to. I know this was a question that I got earlier. It's like, well, I didn't go to a target school. How can I get into investment banking, right? I was like, you're not. If you didn't go to a target school, but you were about to graduate and you saw maybe, they do always post like, oh, we're recruiting for, uh, this class of 2020, class of 2021. And once that recruiting season is over, they're not recruiting, right? So let's say that's your last year in college and you don't get recruited. What's going to happen is you're done because you're going to graduate, right? When they start recruiting again, they're going to go back to college. So they're not, going, recruiting outside of college, right? So one thing I recommend, like I said, get a job, get a small company, mid-sized company, and that's gonna allow you to build your resume. That's gonna allow you to build your skills, and that's gonna, just improve your work ethic as well. Like if you work for smaller companies, you're gonna be doing more work than you do if you're working for a bigger company, obviously, since you're having to do a lot of things and learn a lot of skills. Um, so let me hear. I want to get into some of the questions here that I got from last week. Uh, all right, so I had a question. Someone asking, what types of positions are in finance, right? Because a lot of people talk about it's either you go investment banking or you go to you become a financial analyst. Now, there's quite a few. I did look up. I'll put the website in the description. So, the first one is going to be corporate finance, right? So corporate finance is going to be, every company has a finance or accounting slash accounting department, which is pretty much the same thing. Some of them are combined, some are, separate, but they're going to have like a finance department, right? So if you work in corporate finance, you might work in the finance department, accounting department, and that's where you're going to find a lot of financial analysts, and some of the things you do, are going to be like you're gonna do, the top position obviously in corporate is gonna be a financial analyst, right? Because you kind of like do a lot of the things like you do, you build models. For the most part, it's Excel work, right? It also in corporate finance. I mean, in corporate finance, you're gonna find accountants as well. They're gonna be staff accountants, right? They kind of like do accounting stuff as well as finance, right? You also can work on the, cash management, and you can go to payroll, which is also HR, like HR type of job, but it can also be finance. You can do financial reporting, which is, if you have clients, you're gonna be able to, or you're gonna be responsible for the reporting, right? They say client needs, how much money did we make versus how much money we lost this past, 3 months or whatever. So that's why you kind of like work with financial reporting and making sure that everything balances. It's kind of like being an accountant, but on the finance side, you also have, investor relations. If you work for a big corporate company that kind of like that that deals with a lot of clients, clients that are really important to the corporation. They usually have like an investors relation or a client relation type of environment, and that's going to be heavy on the reporting because since you're dealing with the actual clients or investors, they're going to need a lot of things. So it's always a lot of this is more related to investment banking, because a lot of those big clients that are working with an investment bank, they need answers. Are like, let me get the budgeting for this, right? Like you got to get it done. So that's that level. Now the second category here is going to be investment banking, actually, and there's a lot of roles in investment banking, and this goes on to like you can talk about underwriting. You can look at trading itself, like when you so if someone who's trading stocks, and bonds and things like that, and and you also have some people that that's like financial advisor, but you're advising bigger corporations, right? When there's like an acquisition and things like that or a merger, those are the things you kind of like deal with. So they might sound like regular position, like you talk about underwriting, trading, right? But you're just doing this at a bigger scale, right? Imagine if Google was gonna merge with Amazon, and that those are, I think they're $1 trillion companies, right? They're valued at that, and that's a lot of money to move, a lot of things to balance. And if you work in investment banking, your job is essentially going to be, doing research on how the merger is going to go, and actually underwriting the different things that go with that. Yeah, so you also have, there's a lot of research in investment banking actually. There's underwriting, which can be, underwriting is is a special position. I want to talk about this in a different video or another live stream, where I go into the insurance industry side of finance, which is where the money's at. And a lot of people don't know that, and they don't work in that environment. You also have, uh, so that was investment banking. A lot of people talk about this a lot. I don't want to go in depth about that. So one thing about investment banking, a lot of people think that, if it's investment banking, you're working for an actual bank, right? You're at the, so that's different because what you're probably thinking of is commercial banking, right? So that's, when you work at Chase and you are, a branch manager, you are a loan officer, right? That's commercial banking. Like investment banking is for investment companies, right? That is banking for them, right? And commercial banking is commercial for, anyone really. So that's when you see people go work into, JP Morgan or whatever bank you might work at, and you have, the sales position. You also have, trust officer if you're managing trust accounts. You also have what is it? Operations, they have credit, people that work in the credit department. There's a lot of things that go into commercial banking. That's when you can also find super low level jobs, finance jobs in commercial banking. Such as like sales jobs, right? You have people that just have high school education. You don't even need your college education to do sales. It's just your ability to sell. So these are gonna be, I know in some of my videos I talk about, if you can't get an internship, go work at one of these jobs, the low level jobs, right? If a job description says, well, the highest education is that they need is gonna be let's say high school diploma, all right? Now, if it's a high school diploma, then imagine you're in college, you're not done with college, and you apply for that job, the part-time job, right? You're gonna get it, right? Because you have more than the minimum. So those jobs you can use as internships, right? If you want to go work in banking, if you just want to understand banking, if you want to get used to the work environment, I recommend really working in investment banking. I mean, in commercial banking, work in those lower level position, and you can get to really analyze, how everything looks. Now, after commercial banking, you also have asset management, right? All right, so this is gonna be, uh, you know, it's essentially like like a company that manages money for their clients, and and this is usually it's like think about Fidelity, right? Or BlackRock, those big companies where you can put your money in there. Or if you go to a financial advisor, but the financial advisor might have, a company that he works with where he tells you, put your money in here, this and that, right? So those are going to be, asset management is really, people that go into asset management work for companies like BlackRock. You can look these companies up as well. I think they're called investment firms. I'm pretty sure. And this is where a lot of people with CFAs are going to be. And, you could be a portfolio manager. If you run a fund, you could be a fund manager as well, right? And you can also be an economist. That's really interesting because like you have to really understand what's going on in the economy and how it's going to affect. If you have a client that needs to get paid, well, I need like a 10% return within the next 5 years because I'm looking to purchase this with the returns from that money. So if you are an economist, you're going to be able to kind of like gauge the climate of the economy, what's happening, and so yeah, so that's asset management. You also have real estate. I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with real estate. We also have personal financial planning, which is where you're gonna find, financial planners and sales. These are more like sales jobs. And I want to cover sales jobs as well. Now, insurance is one of the biggest industries in finance, or if that makes sense, right? Under finance, insurance is one of the biggest, the best places you could go because you can move so many directions in insurance, and that is where the money is at, right? If you want to think about, here's is a way to look at this perspective, right? Now think about yourself, right? You have a car, a house, whatever you have, right? And you probably have to get insurance for it, right? Especially if you got a car, you got to get insurance for it. Now, how often do you pay that insurance? Monthly, right? Let's say you pay $20 a month, right? Now, how often do you get to make a claim, right? That my car uh, got scratched, and I want to use my insurance to pay for, to cover the cost of fixing it, right? Most of the time, you're not gonna make a claim because your premium is gonna go up, right? Especially if it was your fault. If you got into an accident and it was your fault, you make a claim. Now your premium is gonna go up, and you don't want your premium to go up because you want to keep it as low as possible, right? So what you're gonna do is you're not gonna make a claim, and you probably make a claim once in a while if it's really bad that you're not gonna be able to drive your car and you cannot afford to pay out of pocket. So now you just make a claim. So think about how many times you pay premium and how many times you actually make a claim, right? Now that's just on your level, right? Our level, like your personal level. Now if you look at the company level and insurance company as a whole, they're getting that premium every month. If they have 100 million customers that use their insurance, and they're paying $20, $30, and everyone pays different amounts, based on the risk factors that they have. If you're, how insurance works, but so they're getting millions of dollars every month, but how many claims actually come in, right? It's gonna be less than the money. Naturally, it's gonna be less than the money. So now imagine if you work in insurance, right? It's easy to move up. It's easy to get a raise. It's easy to that's actually what I do. If you guys, I think I made a video on it a while ago, but I haven't made a career video in a while on my personal career. But that's what I do. I work in insurance as an analyst. Been promoted multiple times, raises every time because the companies just have so much money, right? So they can afford to give people more raises. So I see a lot of people going into these positions, but a lot of people aren't really familiar with how the insurance industry work in terms of finance, right? You can work in claims. You can work as a loss control officer, where you kind of like monitor, if the claims are gonna go higher than the premium for that month or whatever. You can be a risk consultant. You can work in the risk department where you just manage risk, right? Sometimes it might even be what do you call it? Looking to say, okay, if we have this new insurance right here, how much premium should we charge? Let's say, okay, $20. But what if the person is more likely to get into an accident? Shouldn't we charge them more premium just in case they make a claim because they're likely to get into an accident? And when they make that claim, they were paying more than the average person, right? So they're gonna be able to cover that. So you're kind of like protecting the bottom line, right? You never want your claims to be higher than the premium. So that's kind of like working in the risk management. And then there's also other things that go into that. It's not just claims and the premium. You also have underwriting, right? When you actually underwrite the plans or the insurance plans, right? So a company might approach your insurance company. Hey, we have these employees, and we want to give them dental insurance, right? So the underwriter has to underwrite the insurance plan, to make sure that it makes sense. So you have the actuaries that actually, kind of like look at the risk of the people and determine how much premium they gotta pay. So that's kind of like the gist of it. But one thing I wanted to kind of like highlight on all of this, I talked about all these finance positions that you can work in. The one thing that's common in all of them is that Microsoft Excel. You have to know Microsoft Excel. You're going to be working with a lot of data, especially with finance. It's money, it's things that are, you can quantify most of the time, and you need data. And to work with that data, you need to know how to use Microsoft Excel. What else do you have? I'm gonna look at some of the questions here. What are your thoughts on fire? Fire. I've not followed. Well, I think I think it's financial independence, retire early. I think that's what it stands for. Um, well, I feel like it should be the goal for everyone, and that's my goal, to retire, early. But I do enjoy working. I enjoy what I do. So for me, there's really no, wanting to retire early. Maybe to have more time to do, like, things that you want to do that are not work related. But I think it is a great movement. But it's also important to enjoy life. Some people do fire until they're like 50, 60 years old, or whenever they retire, but then you're not capable of doing the things that you were able to do when you were 21, 22, 23, right? um yeah, so personally, I don't follow, like, every aspect of fire. Mine is more like a light version of fire, where I get to do the things I enjoy and also get to work, but it's not full on, like, I'm eating a ramen every night. Back to the college days. But yeah, I like to enjoy life. Let's see here. So that was that. So how do you get a job? Back to the topic. It was I wrote it down here so I don't forget. All right. So I'm gonna give you a game plan here. Let's say you are. I'm gonna assume you are. What's a good? Let's say you are a college senior, right? No, let's say you're a junior and you're about to graduate next year. What can you do to set yourself up to get a job? So a year before you actually graduate, actually 6 months before you graduate, that's when you gotta start applying for jobs. You have to start early. The earlier you start, the better, the more chances you're gonna have, the less competition, because everyone wants to apply the last 2 3 months. Some people even do it the last month of their they graduate on the 30th, they start applying for jobs on the first. You want to do it 6 months before. 6 months, because most of the time when you apply to companies, these companies know that if you're a college student, they ask what is your expected graduation, because they know that you're probably going to graduate pretty soon, but you're probably not graduated. So what's your expected graduation? Oh, excuse me. So you have to apply 6 months. I'm gonna give you 6 months. That's when you have to start. And also, if you just want to work in finance, even if you just want to do something specific in finance, the biggest advice I could give you is do not just apply to that one thing, right? At the end of the day, finance connects. Once you are working in finance, it's easy to move from one job to another. It's easy to like make that transition. But you have to apply. If you want to work in finance, apply to all finance jobs that you see. Apply to all of them, right? Now, it doesn't mean you have to work in them, but once you have the options, right? Let's say you get a bunch of interviews, you get a bunch of offers, right? Now you can sit down and look at the offers. Like, okay, do I like this one? Do I like this offer better? Do I like this? You have options. You can pick, literally what you want to do, right? Because when you have the options, you even get the opportunity to turn down, some options, right? So one thing I recommend, do it early. And when you're doing it early, don't just focus on one. I know a lot of people say, I want to be, what is it? Let's say financial analyst, and they only apply to financial analyst positions. No, we gotta apply to all types of positions. Apply to finance assistant. Apply to what are some other positions like business consult, like apply to business analyst. Apply to some of the lower positions, because all you gotta do is get your foot in the door. That's all you're looking to do. Get your foot in the door, and you can get to do what you want later on. So apply early, like 6 months early, like. And let me see here. Yeah, you have to apply 6 months early. And what kinds of jobs are you applying to? Apply all jobs that are related to what you want to get into, right? So like I said before, don't just apply. If you want to be a financial analyst, apply to only financial analyst jobs, right? You want to have as many options on the table as as especially in this climate where there's a shortage of workers, especially in finance. There's not enough people that want to work in finance. Now you're gonna have, if you have two companies that want to hire you, you're gonna have to leverage, right? Yes, you might talk. They might offer you, like, I'm gonna offer you this much money, and this is the job. And you talk to them like, hey, so I got offered another position at another company as this. Just let them know. They'll be like, oh, and they need you. Since there's a shortage, they need you. So you have room to negotiate things like the salary. You can also negotiate the job description, some of the responsibilities. They're trying to get you. At the end of the day, you got to realize that it's a two-way street, right? You want to get paid, and they want to make money, and they cannot make money without workers, right? So you kind of like have a little bit of leverage. You're not just like, oh, I'm at their mercy, right? Especially if you have more options too. Like you're not, you literally have like leverage. Like if you have more options on the table, if you can turn this offer down and not affect the other offer, go ahead. And this only happens if you apply early, and if you actually go to apply to, if you're not picky, right? This goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning of the video when I was talking about how when I was talking about how what is it? How people that work in investment banking don't have jobs. uh, and also another tip, if you're gonna be applying for jobs, I know I said apply to everything. Do not apply to any sales position. Do not do sales in finance. Don't do it. Whether it's insurance sales, whether it's if it's sales in finance, you're gonna be an account manager. Apply to account manager positions, right? Well, you're probably not gonna be, if you have an undergrad degree, you're probably not qualified to do those positions. But anything that says sales in finance, don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. You're gonna regret it. Just believe me when I say don't do anything that says sales in finance. Now, let's go ahead and I was gonna read some comments on YouTube that I responded to most of them, but just wanted to go over some comments that uh, are so. Da, 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 da. Trying to find some good questions here. Say Robinhood is gonna hit $100 soon. I don't know if you guys saw my post. I posted that I had invested in Robinhood and I bought it at like 30 some dollars. Hopefully it hits $100. What else do we have? I'm trying to find a good question here. Oh, someone did say I didn't get this was on the last week's stream. So I didn't get to be in the stream, but I wanted to ask about how I can get a decent job in finance if I have a GPA less than 3.5, if I don't go to a target school, any tips. So everything I pretty much covered in this stream, I'm gonna post it so you can, watch it, reference back to it and things like that. Everything that I talked about in this video, it's for someone that you probably don't have 4.0 GPA. You probably didn't go to a target school, and you're just looking to work in finance, right? Now, once you start get started, yeah, that should be the answer to your question. Like, if you rewatch the stream, or if you're in the stream, I don't know if you are, but if you watch it later, that's gonna be, just follow those. You're gonna get a decent job. Like, especially if 3.5 is pretty high, actually, or less than 3.5. Okay, I guess. But one thing to know is all you want to do is, if you do all these things, all these little positions that you're applying for, these little jobs that you might accept, the goal is to get your foot in the door. It's a lot easier to navigate once you're inside, right? Because you're gonna make maybe friends, you're gonna make, people that are gonna put you in positions to win, right? All you gotta do, because if you think about this, right? If you look at someone's resume, I could tell you that like 20% of the things on the resume is BS, right? Like it's BS. So employers take a chance by, you, judging you based off of your resume and, like GPA and things like that. But once you are hired and they see your work ethic, they see your level of being, of understanding the work, your willingness to do the work, the time it takes you to finish the work, and you're just a hard worker, the GPA is not gonna matter, right? That's why the goal should be to just get your foot in the door. Like once you do that, your job is to prove that you're worth more than this, right? That's when that's when you start to see like promotions and things like that. Uh, so so next question here. Next one is I'm 19 in college. Uh, I'm in college for business management, but I'm looking to switch to finance. I'm a stock trader and I'm good at investing and Excel, but I'm very horrible at math. I'll say my math level stops at algebra, but I'm good at statistics. Should I take it? So you are in business management, and you want to switch to finance. That sounds like a good move, honestly. Business management, I feel like it's too broad. It doesn't give you solid skills. So if you switch to finance and you want to be a stock trader and you're good with Excel and statistics, you're gonna work in investment banking if you're smart, all right? Because investment banking, you gotta go, if you go to a target school and things like that. But if you understand statistics, I know a lot of people do not understand statistics. You can definitely have a great job in finance. Maybe as an underwriter of insurance or as a working on in the trading, like the trading floor for publicly traded company, or the finance department that deals with like the money, or you'd be good working for a public company where some people buy stock and they have a department that manages that, or that's responsible for that, or that monitors that. You'd be great for it. So I believe switching from business management to finance, that's a great move. Because even if you figure that you don't like stock trading, and that's why you switch to finance. You have a finance degree, you can navigate different routes in finance with a finance degree. The business management degree, that's going to be a lot harder because you don't have, solid skills. It's just too broad. Let's see here. Uh, Someone said you should make top business degrees for people that don't like math. Oh, I didn't answer your question actually. So you don't really need to understand math in finance. The hardest math is going to be statistics actually, but you said you're good at it, so you should be fine. Now, said so if you want to business degrees if you don't like math, honestly, uh I could give you jobs because I know in college, if you go to a public college, you're required to take math classes, right? So there's no way of avoiding those. But if you, in terms of, let's say, you get your finance degree, or what jobs do not require you to use like hardcore math? You could be a salesperson, but you're gonna use some type of math, basic math, I guess. But sales, you could do financial advisor, like the jobs where you talk to people, right? Where an analyst gives you the information, and all you got to do is communicate that information. Uh, so what's your opinion on the CFA? So with I don't know if this was from last week or if it's new. Uh, so with the CFA, I don't think it's worth it if you don't have, an MBA. So the thing is with the CFA, it's more for people that don't want to get an MBA, I guess. But getting an MBA is going to be more valuable when it comes to like the opportunity. So the CFA is, I think it's Chartered Financial Advisor or something like that. CFA, it's like equivalent to the CPA, right? But a CPA, okay, more than a lot of times you're gonna see, let's say the CFO of a company, they're probably gonna have a CPA, or so a CPA is more valuable than a CFA. But what you want to get is before you even get like a CFA, I would say go for your master's, get an MBA, right? 'Cause it's gonna give you more. If you let's say later on you don't want to work in finance, right? If you don't want to work in finance and you have a CFA, you're kind of like obligated to work in finance because your certification is specifically in finance, right? It's specific. Now, if you have an MBA, you can literally do anything with the MBA in business, right? So go for the MBA if you have the opportunity to do so. But if you are focused on getting a CFA, then I'll say go for it. But if you can get an MBA, I'll say go for the MBA. I believe those are all the questions I was gonna go over today. Unless you guys have any additional questions, I'm probably gonna end the stream. And next time I'll probably go through new comments. And if you guys have any oh, there's a question here. Uh, I'm currently studying at a fintech boot camp. What is the best companies to look into, and what would be the best outlet to network with working professionals with intentions of getting hired? So if fintech is actually really interesting. This is kind of like a new space in finance that's growing, which is really impressive. Um, and I think, if you're gonna be working in fintech, actually, um, one thing I would recommend is, it's a growing industry, right? You're gonna be working with. I recommend going to work with startup companies, right? Like, because startups are usually, kind of like fintech friendly. Think about things like Robinhood, like these financial platforms that are kind of like simplifying finance by using technology. I imagine that's kind of like the things you cover, how to combine technology with finance to simplify people's lives. So you want to go into companies that, like if you're looking to network, right, in terms of, I'm gonna answer your first question. The best companies to look into, I'll look into those companies like Robinhood, Webull, Fidelity, even the old companies that have been around for decades, and they start to see companies like Robinhood kind of like, bringing more technology into this old finance industry. You're gonna see companies like, Fidelity hiring people that are knowledgeable in fintech to help them, advance or, kind of like, get with the times. So I would recommend working for companies like like what is it like fintech companies themselves, like Robinhood. That's just an example. Even you can even work for Ark Invest, which is a fund, right, with Kathy Wood. Is a really popular, and they're always hiring like positions open, right, because this is a new industry and there's not enough people that have the knowledge. So if you are in a boot camp for that and you have the knowledge, you should apply for those jobs. So those are the companies I'll look into. Not so much of older companies, right, like companies that like JP Morgan, like companies like I'll look into the new companies that are actually, doing, promoting fintech, that are actually part of that. And also, next part of your question was what would be the best outlet to network with professionals. So one of my favorite things to network on is going to be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like really important. And I know a lot of people just make an account and they don't really do much on the account except like I recommend commenting on other people's post achievements. A lot of people post, I just got promoted to this level. Reach out to them. Hey, congrats on your promotion. And one thing I did, I think I made a video on this as well when it comes to networking on LinkedIn. Because I'm only saying LinkedIn just because of like, COVID, you're not able to go to like meetups and things like that. Where, another option would be like, if you go on, there's fintech communities on Facebook, group chats, right, that you can join where the events are planned. Like, hey, we're going to meet at, let's meet at this and talk about this, like people, like-minded people that meet up, but because of COVID they're probably not doing that. So I recommend LinkedIn, like using LinkedIn to the fullest. And I did a video on how you can reach out to someone who's working in the and I think it's called how to network on LinkedIn or something like that. But essentially you want to look at, I'll just break it down here. I'll be brief. But so let's say you want to work for Robinhood, right? Now, what can you do? You can go on LinkedIn, you can go to the Robinhood company page, you can look at the employees. You're going to see everyone from the top down, right? Now, who do you want to approach? I know a lot of people will go straight to the manager, straight to the highest person. So my tip is you want to go for someone on the lower end, right? Someone who just got hired, because it shows you, if you click on someone's profile, how long they've been working on that position, right? When did they get hired, right? Get someone that's been hired within the past year or two and they're at a lower position. So this means they probably just graduated from college or they probably just started their career in, fintech or whatever company in the past 3, 4, 5 years. Now, if you message those people, they're more likely to respond to you, right? Because they want to help you. They know what it takes to get there. And they don't have a big head yet, right? Imagine, messaging the VP of finance for Robinhood. We just use Robinhood as an example. And they're not going to respond to you. They're so busy with other things. That's why you always want to message kind of like a lower level person. And when you message them, do not ask for a job. Do not ask for, you know, for favors or for internships. What you want to do is just introduce yourself and see that and say that you notice that they work in this position, and you can even say like, oh, this is something that I'm interested in. I plan on working in the this position. And you can say, I was wondering if you have time to, what you can even ask, like, what can I do to have this position or to work in this position. If you watch that video, you're gonna see I go more in depth. I even have an example of how I did it when I got my first internship at a really, really big company when I was in college. And you never want to mention like, like intentions of getting hired, right? Like, you want to get hired, but you don't want to bring it up because, they're doing you a favor until at the end of the day when they respond to your message or they're trying to help you. Now, if they like you, they're going to be, oh, we actually have a position open. You should apply for it, right? So now he has someone who is recommending you for a position. When you turn in that application, it's going to be put to the top of the list, right? Now, I'm going to go into the other question here. I'm planning on being a finance major. Is it worth doing, I guess, this computer science minor with it? So with finance, I mean, if you can do it, like, I know for a lot of people, it's like the time. If you can finish it in 4 or 5 years, then you're good. If you can balance the schoolwork and still have, grades that are not gonna push you back from graduating soon, then do it. Some people, it's like because of money. If you can afford to have 2 degrees, then go for it. But one of the best things you could do with a finance major, computer science is great because you learn programming skills and things like that. But if you want to, make your life simpler, I would do computer science and I mean, finance and something like data analytics, or with something that's not, because computer science is, well, I'm guessing since it's a minor, you're not going to be taking all the core classes, but it's great because in finance, I was talking about fintech earlier, right? Computer science is a huge part of fintech programming and understanding how systems work, right? That's going to be part of fintech, and finance is moving to from this old finance that, like, you see, like, if you go to any big corporate company, look at who's at the top, right? It's like older people, right? Now it's starting to shift from that to fintech itself, to technology. And if you're able to understand how to program and how to connect, and if you can connect that with finance, right? You combine your finance knowledge with your programming knowledge, you're deadly. You're gonna get hired like this. Especially if you know how to use Python, is one of the biggest programming languages used in finance. I know yeah, Python is the biggest one. Honestly, they use it in investment banking. They use it in corporate finance, and then also SQL. That is, I don't know if it's I think it's a query language, not a programming language. But SQL is really big in finance. Now, yeah. So if you can afford to do, a CS, if it's not gonna push you back or whatever, go for it. I say go for it. But if you can do something or get a certificate like data analytics, or things where you deal with data, that's gonna be, it's gonna be equally as good. So another one here, another question says, what do you recommend for a sophomore in college that's getting a finance degree to get ahead of the curve? All right, so there was an article, actually, I want to show you guys. There's a CNBC article about finance people. See if I can find it, and I'll put it on the screen. See if I can find it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I can share my screen here. All right, I think you guys should be able to see my screen. All right. Oh no, there's a paywall. Oh, never mind. There isn't one. Okay, I can look at this. All right, so this is an article from Bloomberg, right? It was on August 6th, 2021, so a couple of days ago. So they're talking about, Wall Street's hottest commodities, college grads with Excel skills. So that's why I always say that Microsoft Excel is really, really important. Let me know if you guys can see the screen or if you're not able to see the screen. But Microsoft Excel is the whole financial system. It runs on Microsoft Excel. So that is the biggest skill you can have. The more you know, like in Microsoft Excel, the more valuable you become. There are companies that are just hiring people with no college degrees that just know how to use Microsoft Excel. They have an Excel certification. So I'll put this link up to this article in the chat, I guess, if you want to go read that. But so how do you? Okay, so there you go. All right. All right, so the biggest thing you can do as early as you can, you said you're a sophomore, is going to be learn Microsoft Excel, learn how to use Excel, learn those pivot tables, learn how to do VLOOKUPs, learn like all the hard things about Excel that someone who starts a job and it's going to be a learning curve. Learn those while you have time, practice. And even one thing I used to do in college when I was learning how to use Microsoft Excel, I know I had a class where he just taught me how to do modeling and things like that. Now on my free time, what I would do is I started going on Fiverr, which is a website where you can sell a service for as low as $5. So I was actually like saying, hey, I can do VLOOKUPs for $5. Or hey, I can arrange your data using pivot tables to however you want it to be. I'll clean up your data for $5, $10, right? So that way you're making money and you're also getting paid to practice a skill that's gonna really really pay you in the future. So the biggest thing I can tell you, if you want to be ahead of the competition, learn Microsoft Excel or learn how to use Excel. Like that's the biggest thing you can really do. All right, so the next one is an economics degree useful for an insurance job? Yes. So with insurance, actually, it is like a same thing with fintech, where with there's so many positions in insurance that any degree really is gonna work as long as you're able to understand how premiums and claims and loss and stop loss and things like that work. If you're able to just like understand the entire picture, the bigger picture, and you can work on one part, let's say work as an underwriter, you work as a premiums analyst, which is what I was doing for a while. I've been promoted multiple times, so now I don't really get to do that as much. But you have to really understand, like, but with an economics degree, I can understand that you're probably more, you probably understand business better than someone who comes in with an art degree, right? So if they're gonna tell you, okay, this is how the business model, like this is how the policy that, for example, Biden, um, like or let's use Obama for example with Obamacare, right? That affected a lot of insurance companies as to how they would underwrite the insurance plans and how much they would charge in premiums and things like that, right? So if you're someone who's able to understand how decisions that are made affect the economy, and if you understand that, you're going to be able to apply that to your job, your company. And most people with the economics degree are going to be like in higher positions. I don't know why, but people I've met that work in insurance with like background in economics, where they maybe work for the treasury department, they're usually like managers, or they're always in higher positions. I've never met someone my age who has an economics degree that works in insurance. But yeah, it's a great degree to have, though. Like it's a great degree. You get a lot of skills from just having that degree. All right, next one is, thank you so much. Also love your videos. Thank you, thank you. So will finance be automated by fintech in the future? Yes, it will. Definitely, it's going to. But the thing with finance, it is an industry that is, I think it's probably like centuries old. Back in the day with basic finance back in the day was trading. What's it, barter trade, when they were trading like, I'll give you two cows for this, right? It's basic finance. And then there was someone who, like, when they used to pay taxes back in the day, you got to pay whatever they call them back in the day. That's when finance really started. So it is an old industry. Now fintech just started coming there, like disrupting the industry. It has to like kind of like get used to that and get with the program. But now it's not gonna be fully replaced by fintech, right? Because if you think about this, right? There wasn't Microsoft Excel, like so it's not always been around, but we use it, right? Now the way we use it to make better decisions, right? So that's how fintech works. It's gonna help people that work in finance make better decisions. Now, if you want to look into, some people that work as in positions where you have to make a decision based on the data that you have, right? So we have data, so and you make an informed decision if you have data, right? So you look at the data. This is what the data is telling me. Therefore, I should make this decision. Now, if you leave that to a machine, sometimes you have to do true or false, right? Like if looks like this, then say no. If it looks like this, say yes. But sometimes you want to make an exception for special situations. So fintech, yes, it's going to so finance is going to be automated, but in a good way that's going to make us more efficient, and it's gonna make finance better. It's going to create more jobs. So the automation of the finance industry is really great. You see those people on Wall Street, investment bankers, they work what, 100-hour weeks, like the Harvard, like crazy hours, 80-hour weeks they work, and that's normal. Imagine if there was a software or some type of technology that can help them do their work, right? That can help them do their work, and they don't have to work 80 hours a week, and they can think faster because they're getting enough sleep. They can have a life. They can spend time with their family. Because they don't have to work 80 hours a week. So, so automation of the finance industry is going to be really beneficial to the workers themselves. They'll get a break. They'll get to learn new skills. All right, what else? There's another question here. Do I pay for a course to learn Excel? Or do I just practice on my own? All right, so if you have the money, I've never been a big fan of paying for courses, even though sometimes it's really worth it. So what I recommend is actually you can let me show you here. Here's what I did when I was trying to learn on my own. So I would look for a course, right? If you go on let's say Udemy, let me show you here. I'll show my screen in a little bit. Show you what I did, because sometimes when you try to learn on your own, you don't know where to start, like truly, like you just don't know where to start. So to avoid this, what I do, you guys can see my screen here. All right, so what I do, I'll go on Udemy, right? Or you can go on Coursera or whatever platform where you have there's courses. I'm gonna look up Excel, Microsoft Excel, right? We'll look for courses here. And look for the best selling one, or like you just look for whatever one, right? So I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna click on this course. All right, so here's what I do. You go to the course description. I think it's right here where it says what you learn, requirements, or right here actually where it says course content. Now you want to look at all the titles here, right? So let's look at conditional statements and logical operators, right? So what can I see here? They said they're talking about if statements, right? They're talking about nested if statements. They're talking about using this and that. So now what I do is I'll write down all the things that they're talking about in the course, right? I would literally go from top to bottom, right? And then now what I would do is I would go to YouTube here and I'll look up if I can type. Can't really see my keyboard. So if statements in Excel. I don't know why my internet is slow, but essentially the idea is you find the best tutorial. This one here is a 2.1 million views. It's 15 minutes long, and you just watch the video and you take notes, right? So instead of like paying for the course, you actually go ahead and look at what they're teaching, and then go on YouTube and you learn it for free. That's what I did. But if you want to pay for a course, go ahead. On YouTube, you have like, you can look at like multiple people, multiple tutorials and things like that. But if you want to pay for a course, go ahead and do that. And the only thing I'll pay for is something that's if you're gonna get a certification, if it's by the end of the course, you get a certification, get something to prove that you're knowledgeable in this, then I would pay for it. But if it's just like to teach you, I would just look at the topics and go ahead and look them up on YouTube. They'll give you a guideline on what to learn, what to look for, because it's really hard to just go on YouTube like, oh, I want to learn Excel. You don't even know what to look up. So that's why I reference those courses to find like a starting point. All right, so next question is if finance is going to be automated, shouldn't you need a computer science major or some skill in CS? Yeah. So the biggest automation in finance right now is going to be coming from, programming, obviously using Python to make processes a lot faster, to make, sometimes like if you think about the basic finance, right? Like where you have a lot of data and you have to rearrange the data in Excel and things like that. Imagine if you can put all that data in the database, that's the cloud, right? The cloud is part of fintech, right? We can put data in the cloud. Now imagine if you're able to pull data from the cloud with everything you need arranged the way you want it. You just don't get it just doesn't get dumped on your computer and you have to rearrange it, make it how you want. That's where an SQL comes, right? You can use SQL to pull data to create reports that are going to reflect exactly what you want. So you don't have to do the work, right? So it's already cut your work in half. So definitely, yes, computer science, but it depends on what you're learning, right? You have to look into, like computer science minor, what classes are you actually taking, right? You might be taking, let's say, there's I don't know anything about computer science, but I'm just guessing, like, let's say the theories on how a computer is made. That's not going to help you in finance. What's going to help you is those programming skills. So yeah, so you just need those programming skills. It doesn't really matter what programming language you learn. because I find out that it's a lot easier to learn other programming languages when you learn. I remember when I started, I learned HTML, which is really easy, and I learned CSS, and I learned Java, which is what I know how to program in Java. And after that, every language after that is very similar, just different, ways of doing things. Like if you go into C++ or C sharp, they're all similar. But, so if you learn one, you're going to be fine. And Python is really easy. What else do we have here? So if you plan on majoring in finance, so if you plan on majoring in finance, you should take some CS courses. Yes, I would recommend that. I don't really know what computer science courses consist of, but I would tell you that if they have anything in programming, right, that talks about programming or data systems or things like that, then yes, definitely, I should definitely take some CS courses to kind of like compensate for that. And if it's a minor, then it's gonna look great on your resume. You're gonna be, better than someone who just has a finance degree. So next one is, so a finance degree is useless. No, it's not. Or any degree is useless, really, right? Once you start working, that's one thing I learned when I started working full time, is that you don't even use the things you learned in school. So a degree, the point of having a degree is gonna be to open doors for you, right? Now think about this. Here's a great example. You might have someone who went to high school, is a high school degree, right? You have a college degree in finance, right? You apply for the same job. Who do you think they're gonna pick? They're probably gonna pick the person with the finance college degree, right? But does that mean that the high school person is not capable of doing the work? They probably do it better, to be honest, right? But they're not gonna pick that person over someone with with qualifications for that job, right? Um, because if you think about it, at the end of the day, if you're working for a corporate company, you're part of the corporate image, right? Like once you go work for the company, you don't represent yourself; you represent the company itself, right? Now, if let's say if it's a public company, they're gonna pull data about the company. They're like, oh, it looks like the average workers that work as financial analysts have high school education. That's not gonna look good for the company. Clients are not gonna want to work with them because they're already judging you based on that notion. So long story short, a college degree not worth it, but it opens up doors. You get respect. So any degree really, finance degree totally, like it's not gonna help you be better at your job. It's just gonna give you like a perspective of what finance is, but when it comes to what you actually do, you're gonna be relearning all those things. But it just opens doors for you, and you get respect, right? So what else? What things should I learn about being in the banking industry or having a bachelor's degree in business administration or transferable skills? I want to leave. Oh, I want to leave the banking industry. So I'm assuming you already work in the what? Oh, like I'm guessing you're asking if you want to leave the banking industry. Oh, transfer. I would just go like part I understand is going to be the transferable skills. So the biggest transferable skill you can have is going to be Microsoft Excel. That's the universal language um, that that any organization, corporation, company, industry that deals with money, data is Microsoft Excel. That is the biggest transferable skill. Now, that's too general. One of the biggest things is going to be, and data analysis, right? You have to be able to analyze data. And I'm assuming that if you work in banking and things like that, you already have that skill. So that's transferable. You have to be able to clean up data. So a lot of people, like people that know how to, let's say you work with a lot of data, right? And what a lot of people do is they know how to, use pivot tables and VLOOKUPs of that data and they get the job done, but it takes longer. One of the biggest things I learned and the skill that I think a lot of people need to learn is cleaning up the data, right? You have to clean up the data. So that means removing things that are not, that you don't need to complete the task and having the relevant data. So cleaning up data is really important. And I just made a video on that. If you go on my channel, I believe it's the last video I made, right? So you're gonna be using, that's when you get into those formulas like VLOOKUPs and pivot tables and things like that that help you clean up the data. So if you know how to use Microsoft Excel, you're gonna be fine. It said, what is the official name of your job? And not to be mean, I'm just curious. So I am a I'll just type it in here. I even go a little bit into depth about exactly what I do. So I started off as if you've seen my video day in the life of I can't even type. So the first one I started was a premiums analyst, which is kind of like a financial analyst, but you work for an insurance company. So I'll go in depth. I don't think I've ever really gone into depth about this. I can't obviously tell you the name of the company. I can't tell you like, salary. Like I'd probably give you a range, but when I started, it was out of college, it was a premiums analyst. So essentially how it works, like a example I gave before when it comes to premiums, the premiums you pay for your car, for your insurance, that premiums has to get paid to an insurance company, right? So the company I work for is like a back office for big insurance companies. Think about the biggest insurance companies that you can think about, right? So they have a back office. They get paid all this premium. They have like millions of dollars, right? Let's say they get $30 million every month from all the clients they have, right? So how does that money get managed? That money is supposed to be saved up to pay for claims, just in case someone makes a claim, or pay taxes, do things like that. So it's just money. So that's what I do as a premiums analyst. My job was to analyze that, right? All that money that was coming in and money that was going out, money that was getting paid out, and things like that. So that's kind of like the gist of what I did. It's like, it takes a while to learn, but I'm a super fast learner, so I picked up on it really fast, and it's a really specialized position. You probably never see these positions posted because it's so specialized that a lot of people don't even know what it is, right? You probably find these positions at insurance companies, the big ones that actually have a lot of premium that needs someone dedicated to kind of like managing that premium, making sure that you're getting the right amount of premium, you're paying out the right amount of premium. But I've been promoted multiple times. Now I work as a while ago I was working as an accountant, a carrier accountant. I'll type it in here actually. I can't type. I put two C's. I think I might have mistyped that. So now that's what I was doing for the past little while. So this is essentially like, as a premiums analyst, you're just working with the money itself, doing analysis, doing a lot of data cleanup and things like that. Now, as a carrier accountant, it's kind of like a step above that, where you're actually working with the carrier, right? Let's say, I guess I can't say the name of the clients. Let's say an insurance company called the Theo insurance company, right? Or Nash insurance company, right? So you're the one that carry the insurance plans, right, for your clients, right? So my job was just to account for that, right? Instead of just looking at premium, I was looking at things like claims, bank accounts, moving money and things, actually moving the money and things like that. So that's pretty much without getting into like too much details. And now I'm kind of like, a supervisor that kind of like manages people that do those two jobs that I've done. So that's where I'm at now. But yeah, so that's what I do: premiums analyst and carrier accountant. But I usually tell people, yeah, I'm an analyst when I was a premiums analyst, because no one knows what it is. And for the carrier accountant, no one knows what that is. I just say I'm an accountant. So it says, thank you, I may have missed it, but what's the best resource for learning Excel? YouTube. That's a good point. Cleaning up data. Yeah, definitely. YouTube is a great learning platform. You learn a lot of things, and for free on top of that, right? You don't have to pay for anything. But honestly, if you want cheap courses, I'll go to Udemy, right? This website here. I'll pop it up on the screen just in case you missed it earlier. Make this a little smaller. I'll put it over here. All right. So this website here, I mean, not this specific course. I just pulled it up, but I'm not endorsing this course here. But here you're gonna find a lot of cheap courses, right? There always have deals going on here. Oh, there's also free courses, by the way. So these are better because man, they're guided. Obviously, you go step by step, you learn the basics until you get to like the advanced things, right? So yeah, so I would, start here, see $17 from 149. They always have like deals going on every day. So if you are a person that, likes to be, you like the guided learning and things like that, I would go on Udemy. It's really gonna help you. But YouTube is my number one recommendation. Just go on YouTube. It's free. And I've made some videos on some of the, hardest Excel. I'm thinking about making actual Excel like tutorials on how to do like, things. So yeah, that's the best resource. And cleaning up data, if you're gonna be work as an analyst, if you work with data, if you work with the data that's gonna be used to make business decisions, um, cleaning up data is gonna make your work a lot easier. It's gonna put you ahead of the competition because I see a lot of people working with data they don't need, right? But they're just pulling the stuff they need. It's like, why don't you clean up the data and have only the things you need, right? And when you do that, it's gonna make it a lot easier and a lot faster. Let's see here. All right, so give me a second here. I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick little break, but I'll be right back in like what, 5 minutes. I just gotta figure out how to how to pause this. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. All right, I think everything is still working. Okay, cool. So, thoughts on travel insurance? Honestly, I don't. Let me know if the audio is working. I want to make sure that it's working. I don't know anything about travel insurance. I've never used it, but I mean, it depends on where you're going, honestly. Like, I've never used it because haven't really traveled to places where, but I think it's having insurance is, it's just kind of like depending on the risk you're willing to take, right? So if you have, like having a car, right? You could get into an accident where you're not able to pay the car or pay for the damages, right, to fix it. So you need insurance to cover just in case that happens. But if you are just, what do you call it? Like traveling to a place that you're familiar with, I don't think you need to, waste that money on insurance. But uh, I don't know. I don't really know much about travel insurance, but it's worth it if you think it's risky for if you're carrying something that's valuable, especially if the. All right, so let's get to another question. Is economics a is an economics degree, bachelor degree, useful at all? What if you do? What if you are doing that with double majored finance? Honestly, with economics, I've never really met anyone that I've seen that a lot of people that have like an economics degree, they end up working in government, right? For the Treasury Department, as a budget analyst, right? So, and just because they have a better understanding of the economy, not just the economy, that sounds typical, but of like how things work in a bigger picture, right? You have macro and microeconomics, right? So you're looking at different aspects of economics. So if you have a degree in economics, then you understand both, right? So I've seen those people work, they usually work for the government, but I haven't really seen a lot of people with economics degree that do what I do. But I've seen some of my friends actually work for the Treasury Department that have economics degrees, and they end up working in finance. Some of them, honestly, they just end up switching to finance. Um, so the next one is is there a good paying finance jobs that doesn't require you to work 80 hours a week? Yes, my job, insurance. I work I work, regular 40 hours a week. That's no, I work more than that, but if you're able to work faster, if you're able to get things done, you can manage your time to work, less than 80 hours a week. I probably get. I want to get into like pay like how much I get paid and things like that because that's signed a non-disclosure. But I probably get paid more than some people that work in investment banking, and and I work way less hours. So yeah. So honestly, any good job that that's why they need to bring fintech onto investment banking because they do these tasks that something can be automated to do that. You don't have to work 80 hours a week. But any good jobs that pay 80 hours a week, honestly, you got to be willing to start from the bottom. What I've seen with a lot of people is you want to get paid six figures as soon as you graduate from college. All right, that's not gonna happen. It is not. Simply, if that's your something that you expect, you're gonna be unemployed for a while, right? Because you actually have to go into an organization and prove yourself, right? You gotta prove how hard you're willing to work, what are the skills you have, how much you're willing to put in, right? And what I've seen is in these companies that don't require you to work 80 hours, you have the ability to do so. But if you've looked, I don't know if you guys work or you can ask anyone that works in corporate, right? It doesn't even have to be finance. Now, if you look at, there's two types of people if you go into a work environment. There's people that, because your job, you signed for 40 hours a week for a certain amount of money, things like that. There's people that they come in at 9 a.m., by 5 p.m. they're out. They walk in at 9 a.m., 5 p.m. they're out. Or 8 p.m., whatever. They do their 40 hours a week to the dot, right? And then there's also someone who comes in early because they got extra things they want to finish. There's someone who stays late because they want to finish this project, right? Now, if you look at who moves up more, who gets more raises, who gets more opportunities to be involved in project that's going to pay them a bonus, it's going to be the person that's willing to put in more work, right? Now, think about this. You put in 80 hours a week, right? When you have the ability to not put in 80 hours a week, you can just do 40. Now, you put in 80 hours a week for the first 2 or 3 years of your career, and you get promoted to higher positions where all you do is manage people that are going to be putting in those hours. Now, you don't have to put in 80 hours a week as a manager, right? You don't have to do that because you have people that do the actual work for you. Your job is to manage them, right? So, my point is, if you're looking for a job where you don't have to work 80 hours a week and you want to get paid a lot of money, that's impossible. Unless you go into investment. I mean, you're going to be working more than that, but you can have a good paying job, but you got to be willing to start from $45,000 a year. That's the minimum I would take for any finance job. If you're a beginner, if you're just starting off, 45, that's it. You can't go lower than that. So you got to be willing to start from there. And if you work really hard, if you not even work hard, smarter and harder and things like that, you're gonna move up like so quick. And working harder means putting in more time than, you gotta work harder than everybody. What else? Okay. How do you get decent paying finance job internship with a low GPA below 3.5? So if your GPA is 3.5 for internships, I've seen like people that they'll look for these big companies or things that's labeled an internship. So that's actually a disadvantage because when you look for something that's labeled internship, GPA is going to be attached to it, right? Because it's an internship, right? Now, what I recommend is actually, excuse me. So let's see here. I'm gonna show you a little trick here. Actually, if you want to go, let's say you want to be a financial analyst, right? That is where you want to start your career, right? Financial analyst, that what I would do instead of you can go to like an internship page, let's say for JP Morgan or for any company, a financial analyst internship, right? And when you look at that description, it's gonna say you gotta have a listed 3.5 GPA. Like now, what you can do is if you don't have that, you can actually go to LinkedIn. You can go to these job websites where these companies post their jobs, and you want to look for lower level jobs like finance assistant or finance or part-time financial analyst, right? So now that's what you have to do. So whenever you do that, you're gonna get the same experience. It's just not labeled in an internship, right? So that removes that GPA, like the GPA requirement, because they're not gonna put that on the job that they put out on the public for as a part-time job. They're not gonna say you need a GPA. Sometimes they'll put you need at least a high school diploma, so they're not gonna be asking for your GPA on that. So that's kind of like a way to go around that GPA thing, right? That's what I did when I was starting off. I started interning when I was a freshman in college, believe it or not. And I wasn't doing things that were labeled internships. I was just doing part-time jobs that were in finance, right? And when I would go on my resume, I would put that as an internship, right? So, because I was learning the same thing as someone who was interning would be learning. So that's what I recommend if you have a 3.5 GPA. If you look at an internship page that you want to get, right, and you see that they say, you need a 4.0 GPA and you don't have that, just go look for the part-time jobs that they're posting, they're looking for, and find something that's similar to what you want to do or that's similar to that internship, and you're going to get that easy. If it's a part-time job that doesn't require like, a degree, obviously. You said, and you're not from a target school. No, I didn't go to a target school. I went to the University of Texas at San Antonio, which is a public school here in Texas. It's not a target school at all. Next one. As a finance student, do you do trading or do you suggest others to trade? Do I do trading? So personally, I do. Yeah, I buy. I have a Robinhood account. I have a Fidelity account. I have a Webull account. I have and I was, I wanted to make some stock videos on how I analyze stocks and things like that, maybe in the future or so. But I really have a good understanding of buying and selling stocks, stock analysis, fundamental analysis, and technical analysis. And even if you look on the description of this stream, I'll actually show you guys here. if you're interested in learning how to trade, and it's actually something I put together myself, and it's free. I'm not selling it. If you go to Linktree, I think it should be in the description. This is a course I put together. It's a document that you're gonna get, and it's free. See, $0, but you can tip, I guess, if you want to. But it's free if you want to just get it for free. It teaches you like literally the basics on how you can look at the fundamental and technical analysis of any stock before you start buying. And you might find some typos in there because it's free, but you should get the point. You know, it's 5 stars. 10 people rated it 5 stars. But yeah, so there's a link in the description if you're interested in that. Or just go in there and just check it out. It's free. It won't hurt to just read it. And also rate it if you like it. If you like the information, just go ahead and rate it. But yeah, so yes, I don't do I suggest others to trade? My friends here, if we're talking about, hey, what stock are you buying? Then I'm like, hey, buy this. But I don't do it like professionally, you know. I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't want to get sued if you lose money. All right, so Andrew, how can I get a lot of experience for a finance job? What if you want an internship, but you have a GPA below 3.0? So this goes back to what I was talking about. Don't apply it to things that are labeled internship, because you're not gonna get past that GPA threshold, right? Just go to the part-time jobs that are similar to that internship, and those are not gonna have any GPA requirements, and the requirement that's going to be on there is going to be like high school diploma at least, right? Yeah, let me show you actually what I'm talking about here, so it's not just like me talking. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do. So let's say I want to be a financial analyst, right? And I want to intern because that's what I want to do when I'm done, or when I finish college. Now, what I could do is, let's say my GPA is not good enough, right? I'm going to look up financial analyst part-time. You can look up financial assistant or finance assistant. I think that's more part-time than financial analyst. Now, if you go to Indeed, I think Indeed is a really, really great platform here. All right, so look at this right here. The first option I get, which is actually new. This is an associate financial analyst, part-time, remote, actually. That's good. Now, let's look at the job description here on this side, okay? Looking at, let's see here. No, this is the job description. Obviously, what a actual financial analyst actually does. Someone who gets, that's the description. I'm not gonna go over that. But if you look at some of the things that they need, the qualifications, right? Which are going to be the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So the knowledge is going to be intermediate accounting concepts, practices and procedures, accrual-based accounting, things like that. And you also have the skills, preparing surveys that's specific to the job. I'm trying to look at educational. Oh, this one's actually a bachelor's degree. Never mind. Look at this. There's an investment banking analyst position, remote, for those interested in that. Look, that's how desperate they are now. People are leaving, and that's what I'm finding right now. Investment banking analyst, part-time. That's how desperate they are. So that's what I would do. I would look for, just look here, look for something that's similar to your uh like looks here. So the closest thing you could do for financial analyst internship like this is finance assistant. At least you're gonna have more exposure than if, I can't even type. Let me go back to here actually. Uh, uh, and Indeed always pops up first. All right. So this one right here, right? So I want to be a financial analyst. I can't get an internship. I'll look for things like this. See, this is part-time. It's a contract, right? So technically what this means is it could be an internship because it's part-time and it's a contract. It's probably for 2 months, 3 months, right? It definitely qualifies to be an internship. And you can look at the other ones here. Let's see. Financial assistant, part-time, uh, part-time. virtual assistant. Yeah, that's what I would do. Like that's what I did in college. I didn't have the best GPA in college. I had probably one of the worst GPAs in college. But I always had an internship every time I had an internship. Why? It's not because I was smart. It's because I was looking into actual part-time jobs that are in finance, and I would use those as internships. Uh, Seeing here what else. Yeah, if you want to get a lot of experience, you got to work a lot of jobs that are in that field, right? You want that experience to be transferable. So instead of going back, let's say you worked at Walmart, right? And they always take you back every summer. Instead of going back to Walmart, apply for a finance assistant. To be an assistant, apply for a part-time someone like something in finance. It doesn't have to be related to your job, right? I've worked as well, I've interned as in a fire department in the fiscal services department, and that helped me understand how a department functions by handling, just like money and things like that, how it moves around and reporting and things like that. That's not what I wanted to do, but it gave me a better understanding of other things in finance. Um, this is more broad, but any book that you would like that you would recommend. So I actually have a pretty great book collection that I was gonna make a video on it, but let me go ahead and grab. So these are like my favorite books here. If you want to go into investing, if you want to understand investing better, this is The Intelligent Investor. This is one of the greatest books that you could ever read about investing. And it's not gonna teach you how to make quick money. Gives you a great understanding of how investments work. And it's it's if you're familiar with Warren Buff, what is it? Warren Buffett. He recommends this book. This is by was Benjamin Graham. That's how Warren Buffett learned his trading strategy from this guy, the guy that wrote this book. So this is a great book, The Intelligent Investor. And then this one, my dog ate the cover, but this is uh, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The title seems a little iffy, but but this is a great book. It's gonna teach you how to deal with people, how to manage people. If you work in a corporate environment, there's a lot of politics, a lot of things that go on, a lot of things you have to, be aware of, a lot of social things that you have to, not necessarily your job, but like social things. This book helps you navigate things like that. And I also have Outliers. It's a great book as well. And I have more. I just didn't feel like grabbing all of them. I'll make a video on some of my favorite books that I read a lot. So uh, and I've also published two books, which I'll maybe make public later. I don't know. I don't know when, but I've published two books on investing. If you can find them, DM me. I'm not gonna post those on here. Okay, so yeah, those are the books I recommend. But definitely if you just want to learn how to, be a better person, how to move up faster in corporate, how to do this, how to just be like the better version of yourself and know how be able to read people, social cues, and know how to behave in certain areas. This one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, great book for that. If you want to get into investing and things like that, just understand the philosophies that come into what is it investing. I go into The Intelligent Investor. All right, so moving on to the next one, which is are how can you get your foot in the door and landing a job when you don't have the years of experience but have the skills you're looking for in addition to extra schooling taken? So this goes back to working those part-time jobs, right? Like literally, one thing I've learned about companies is if they post a part-time job, more than likely you're gonna get hired. You're gonna get it, and there's so many of those that are posted. All right, there's so many of those positions that are gonna be posted. So And most of these part-time jobs, they don't even require you to have experience, right? All they need is a high school diploma, right? So so those are gonna give you the experience that you need, and you can have something to put on your resume. Uh, let's see here. What else do we have? What's the name of this site that you said? This site that you said I can go to get the experience. I'm not familiar with that. I forgot. Uh, I believe it was Udemy. I'm pretty sure. If you want to look at the courses, I'll bring it up on the screen here. Probably this one, Udemy. If you want to learn Microsoft Excel, or what was it? Or Indeed. If you want to look for jobs, I'm pretty sure that's where I was looking. Uh, yeah, Indeed. You can look for those part-time jobs. Indeed is great to look for part-time jobs. Just don't do anything in sales, in finance, sales. Yeah, don't do it. It's not gonna end up well. I would not do anything in sales. Um, what else do we have here? Let's see. Uh, Someone said, is paying thousands of dollars to an online guru who teaches about investing and trading worth it, or are they just trying to rip us off? Yeah, do not pay anyone that says they're going to teach you how to invest in online, especially these new YouTube gurus. Um, I would not pay anybody thousands of dollars to teach you how to invest. You can literally buy this book on Amazon, The Intelligent Investor, which is, I believe it's like $20 or so, I think, than paying thousands of dollars to someone who read this book or any other investing book, and they're just teaching you what they read in a book that you could read. They bought for $20, or probably got it for free. So I will not pay any online gurus, and there's also free information on YouTube on, when in terms of investing or trading. There's free people that actually trade. I know if you watch what do I watch? Well, no one really specifically, but there's people that actually do it. They're building their portfolio, but they're documenting it on YouTube. So yeah, I wouldn't pay thousands of dollars for online gurus. So do you recommend an Excel certification for financial analyst position? If so, from where? So a certification for financial analysts is, it doesn't really matter if you have one or not. It's you can have a certification, right? Like, just like we can all have college degrees, but do you remember everything you learned? Did you cheat in college? I know I was using what is it? What's that website where people post answers? I forgot. I was using that. A lot of people used it just to get by in college, right? Now, if you have a certification, doesn't mean that you can do it. So a certification doesn't really mean much when it comes to Excel, even though, like, it's gonna make you stand out, right? Hey, you are certified in this, which is great. But at the end of the day, if they throw, hey, I want you to do this analysis and find the variances in this data and do this and that, and if you look confused and you have a certification, then like it's really not worth it, right? So certification, they're great, they make you stand out, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to actually do the work. So certifications aren't even big when it comes to Excel as a financial analyst. So it's not gonna break you or really help you that much. You're just gonna stand out a little more. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to perform. You have to be able to, produce results. Um, you said, how many part-time jobs did you do? So I did. Let me see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did about 6 part-time jobs. Yeah, I was working a lot. Sometimes I would, I would, uh, I was taking classes, 2 days out of the week or 3 days out of the week, and the other days I would use to do internship, and it was during I would do. It wasn't just the summer, somewhere summer, fall, and spring. I had about 6 different part-time jobs, which were all in finance or finance related. So whenever I put it on my resume, right, it's like, oh, you're only in college. How do you have so much experience? Like, it's always impressed whenever I would apply to jobs and get an interview. It's like, how are you able to do this and still go to school? And it's because I knew how to. It goes down to time management. Yes. Let's see here. The new one says six part-time jobs in college, all finance related. Yes, they were all finance related. Actually, yeah. Let's see here. What else? This one says, if I want to major in finance, should I take 4 years in the Bachelor's of Commerce program or 4 years in the business? I would take 4 years in the business administration program because business administration is going to allow you to learn. If you think about, I don't know how like the school or program you're doing yourself, but in general, how it works is if you are doing business administration, but you're focusing on finance, you're gonna learn other aspects of business, hence the name business administration, right? So you're gonna learn a little bit of accounting, right? The basic accounting, accounting one, accounting two, right? You're gonna learn a little bit of statistics, you're gonna learn a little bit of economics, just the basics. You're gonna learn a little bit of what is it? Risk management, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of all these business administrate every concept that's related to business, you learn a little bit of that. But if your focus is finance, then you continue with finance, right? When you go to the upper level classes or upper division classes, that's when you focus on one thing, which is finance. But since it's called business administration, you're gonna have a solid background in all aspects of business. So I would definitely go with a business administration program if you're gonna be in focus on finance. I'm an upcoming junior at my university. I'm slightly ahead of track to graduate on time, average 4 years. Should I put an emphasis on try and graduate semester early or not worry so much about it? So graduating early, it never really, even though it's a good thing that you're ahead, obviously, but you want to think about what are you gonna do after you graduate, right? So you might graduate, let's say, a semester or a year, let's say a year before everyone else you started with graduates, right? Do you have a job lined up? Do you have anything? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna be, because the point of graduating early is to be ahead, right? You want to get it. If you have a job lined up, then that's great. If you don't, then you might get a job the next year eventually. But then the people that were behind, y'all on the same level, right? So honestly, my recommendation on that's what I would do. I'm not saying you should do it. I would spread out whatever classes you have, right? Let's say you only have 6 classes left and you can take them all in a semester, but then that means you graduate early, or you can split them into 2 semesters and you can kind of like, finish with the rest of the people on the right time, I guess. So I would split them up, right? So that you can stay for longer and you can even work a part-time job because you have more time, right? You're not taking a lot of classes. So that's one thing I really recommend. And one thing, the way that I like to look at college, it's a place where you can strategize. Like you have time, right? Most of the time you're not really paying like bills, like like major bills, right? Most thing you worry about is passing a class. And during that time when you don't, because when you graduate, it's a different type of like world out here, right? There's so many things, so many responsibilities. So when you're in college, I would use, I would want to have as much of that time as possible. And it's going to allow you to strategize, to apply for jobs. You can even start applying for jobs early, if you kind of like extend that time. But I wouldn't really graduate early unless you have something lined up. But if you're just graduating early just to stay at home, then you kind of like limiting yourself on the networking. Imagine the networking you do at school, right? As soon as you graduate, that goes away, right? You never want to be like the old person that goes back to like, their old school, right? So, yeah, you kind of like limit yourself on the network, which is one of the biggest aspects of college. You limit yourself on that. See here. I'm asking about getting a job after college now. What GPA do I need to get a decent job paying around 60K and 90K? So after college, if you're getting a job after college, I'm assuming if you have some experience, let's say you graduate from college, right, and you get, uh, let's say like a financial assistant job, or staff accountant, right? Another great entry level job. You're not gonna get paid 60 to 90K. You're gonna get paid Oh, that I guess that depends on where you stay. If you live in New York or one of those expensive cities, obviously 60 to 90K is like similar to like 50K in Texas, right? Like where I stay. But so you gotta look at the starting salary, right? There's a starting salary for every career that they're not gonna pay you like right off the bat like 90K. It's gonna come after a couple promotions and raises. So when it comes to that, yeah, you're not gonna get paid like that amount of money with like you might have a 4.0 GPA, but they're not gonna pay you that much money. There's a starting salary for every position, and it's easy to move up if you are or in an expensive city. Uh, Actually, yeah, 60K is decent for an expensive city, but 90K is pretty high. I feel like, yeah, 60K is mostly like, you can even look that up, like whatever city you live in, and you look up a starting salary for that, whatever position, you should be able to get an idea of what you can expect. And even sometimes when doing interviews, right, and they're interested in giving you a job, they'll ask you, so what are your salary expectation or compensation expectations? You want to know that information because you want to give them a range or you want to give them a flat out amount. You can tell them, hey, I've been doing research and it looks like the average starting salary for someone with my experience, my educational level, is between 60 and 70K, right? They're like, okay, we'll probably give you 65 or 67 or maybe 70 sometimes. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I guess yeah, it depends on what city you live in and what the range for the starting salary is. All right, so someone doesn't want to know. Yes. Um, you're full of knowledge. Thank you for sharing with us. You're welcome. Let's see what else. How did you get these jobs? I just applied, and I'm a really, um, so one of the best advice I could give anyone, um, on like how did you do this how like it's more like it's your work ethic, it's the way you look at things, the way you have to solve problems. You have to, if you are able to solve a problem, you can get any job you want, you can get paid as much as you want. So my talent was solving problems with Microsoft Excel, right? That was the whole thing that no one can really do. If I walk into some of the jobs I've had, if you're working, it's usually older people that have been there for years. They're like, "Oh, I'm doing a bank reconciliation," but what I usually do is I'll go ahead and print out the bank statement, and I'll actually look at what our accounting software is doing, and I'll go ahead and kind of like mark it off on the bank statement. Okay, this matches, and then I'll calculate if the amounts match. Now I go in there, I'm like, what software do you use? Oh, we use this. All right, let me see the bank statement. Boom, boom, I do in Microsoft Excel. 2 seconds, I'm done. Okay, it matches, balances. Or these are off. Can you find something to support? It's like, how did you do that? And when you have that type of work ethic and type of understanding of like simplifying things, which is solving problems, the employer's gonna, are you free next summer, or do you want to extend, or please, like, if you ever go anywhere, you can call me for recommendation. So that's how you network. It's like essentially going back to how I got all those jobs, it was networking. And people speaking on my behalf, like people that are in positions of power speak on my behalf, like, hey, you look great, like he does great at this. Sometimes you have him as a reference on your resume. They're like, oh, he's connected to this person. I remember one of them, I was working under the VP of a publicly traded company, a huge company. I was working on the VP of finance. I was just an assistant, but he saw that my skills were like, they were good enough. They weren't like the best, but they were good enough that I started getting more projects that a financial analyst might get. Um, how do you do your day-to-day tasks look like as a premiums analyst? So as a premiums analyst, it is so it just depends honestly on the size of, for mine specifically, I was dealing with about 120 clients that I had to audit every month, like not essentially audit, but had to make sure that the numbers, the premiums that is being paid is accurate, and it's based on a lot of variables, right? You can, it's so many I can make a video on this, which is, it's like really detailed information. So there's so many variables that go into just the premium, right? And if you take one client, which might be Walmart, for example, how many employees does Walmart have in Texas? Right, hundreds of thousands, right? So as a premium analyst, you're looking at each individual employee for every client to see if their premium is correct and how the money is being allocated. And, it's so many things that go into that. So, that's why you need to know how to use Excel, because imagine if one client has 200,000 employees, the next client has 1 million employees, and you're supposed to do this every month for over 150 clients, right? So you can imagine like you know, how you should be able to multitask, and the level of understanding you're supposed to have. And when you know how to use Excel, you can kind of like build a process where you can replicate it for every client, and it'll take half the time. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I was doing, just working with premiums for clients. And there's also other things like, hey, can you do this report? I was doing a lot of reporting as well. So reporting in terms of some clients would need, hey, can I get a report that shows this and that? So you do that in Excel as well. Let's see here. Is it smart to apply for jobs on Indeed or company website? So I would do it Indeed, because a lot of companies actually, the jobs on the company website, they're probably outdated, and no one never ever really applies on company websites. But I'll go on, like my favorite platform is LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, you can look at the company page, you can look at how many people work at the company, you can cross-reference, right? One thing I don't like about Indeed or what is it, or other like third-party websites is like there's usually scams on there, right? It's like some jobs that will try to scam you. But if you go on LinkedIn, you can verify this information by even looking at the company page, who works here, who also has this position. You can see all that information on LinkedIn. So I recommend LinkedIn. And sometimes the company website is not always updated. I've seen people that apply using the company website, they never get a response, and they apply to the same position on LinkedIn and they get a response faster. Because companies are just better at updating LinkedIn because it's easier. Can think about the company website. They have to go to their web marketing department that makes the website. Can you update this to that? So there's a lot of red tape, right? Sometimes they don't find the time to update it, or sometimes they just don't. Like, it takes a while, right? Yeah. And you can imagine the marketing department that runs the website, they have other things going on, so they're not going to be always be able to update things on time. But LinkedIn is easy, just posting a job description, da 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 da. So it's always updated. uh what is the difference between a bachelor's of commerce and administration? I'm not really familiar with the commerce, but I think it has more to do with sales. But I know business administration is going to be, business, anything under business, you're going to be able to learn a little bit of it, like accounting, finance, statistics, risk management, what else? There's a lot of things. So I don't know much about a bachelor's of commerce, but business administration is what a lot of people recognize, a lot of companies recognize, what else? Do you prefer a full-time job or starting a business? Do a full-time job and use that money you get paid from your full-time job to fund your business. All right. I'm in New York. Yeah, so if you're in New York, I know you were talking about 60 to 90,000. That's pretty reasonable. So let me I'm guessing you're talking about being a financial analyst. So I'm gonna help you look here. There's a great website. Okay, so entry level financial. If I can type. Salary. Okay. This one right here. Let me see if I can find. So there's website salaries.com, which is pretty accurate most of the time, honestly. All right, so it gives you the bottom 10, 26%, next 25%, and then the median is 72K. This you probably need like a couple years of experience in order to get to like 72K, be like your next promotion. So yeah, so 60 is an unrealistic for New York actually. I said it depends. And the best way you can even look, if you look on this website, sometimes they're not really updated. I know salaries have been going up in corporate America, so 86,000 here. Uh, what I would do is you can actually look at actual companies, right? You can go on a website like this one, Glassdoor. That's one of my favorite websites. You can look for you can look for any position in any city, country, whatever. And you can even look at the averages yourself if you want to be more accurate, not rely on a third party website. Okay, this job is saying, they have a range, right? And you can kind of like come up with your own range. But okay, so going back to this year, will a finance degree lead to hedge funds related careers? So if you want to work in hedge funds and things like that, yes, it does. I will focus on asset management. So that's the career path you'd want to take. Asset management is going to help you out to run portfolios, how to run hedge funds and things like that. So asset management, and yeah, there's a lot of asset management jobs. I know I was offered a few when I was applying for jobs in asset management, and you all usually start with like like maybe a financial advisor. I don't know what they call them, but who runs his own firm. Maybe they manage about million, $2 million, $5 million for a couple clients, right? So that's where you'd start to just get the experience to know how everything works. And once you're good with that, you can actually move on to the hedge funds or move to Wall Street as well. But yeah, so in finance, if you're gonna be in finance, you want to focus on asset management. That's a career path you can take in finance. That's gonna help you if you want to end up in managing funds and things like that in portfolios. Any advice on how to become a financial manager? So you're gonna have to start from the bottom as an analyst, obviously. And it's gonna take, for to be a manager. It just depends on the corporate structure, but I'm guessing like it should be no less than 5 years to become a manager. So I'll put it between 5 to 7 years. You can be a manager, depending on the size of the company, obviously. So for a big company, it might be a lot less time because since there's like a lot of departments, positions, and things like that, or people that are moving in and out. For a small company or mid-sized company, I'll give it like 5, 6 years, 5, 7 years. But yeah, they're not just gonna hire you as a manager straight from college. But if you are moving from a different company, if you've had experience, because if you look at some manager positions, they ask for like 5 plus years experience in whatever you're trying to manage. So you're not gonna be able to so you're not gonna be able to be a manager that easy. Um, is a bachelor's degree in economics completely useless? What about bachelor's in degree in financial mathematics? No, it's not really useless. It's just like, people that have it. I haven't really seen anyone that has it. You'd have to do research on that. I haven't really looked into it. But the people that I know that have an economics degree, that's a bachelor's degree, they go work for the government. I know someone that works for the, Treasury Department. They work as a budget analyst, but they have a, economics degree. I just never see anywhere in like a specific place like job where you can apply your like your economics degree. I feel like it's too broad of a degree, right? And I don't know if there's any focus like you focus on the macroeconomics or microeconomics. But it's great if you want to get into politics to understand how the economy is working. And financial mathematics, that actually that is a good for if you want to go into like asset management, right? Let's say you work for BlackRock, right? They manage trillions of dollars. And if you're able to do financial mathematics to like kind of like help them, optimize the funds that they're running, the portfolios, then yeah, that would definitely help. But I haven't seen anyone with a financial mathematics degree. I would honestly go with the finance degree because everything else like financial this it's gonna be covered under that. It's gonna be assumed that you have knowledge in that. With the business program administration, yeah, it'll actually show you how to. So a lot of our business schools actually, if you go to a business administration program, I know for mine, which was a public university, there was a Microsoft Excel class, right? Because how important it is. I know a lot of schools are starting to realize that it's really important. Our financial system depends on, it runs on Microsoft Excel, like literally. People are moving billions of dollars using Microsoft Excel. Like, okay, based on the calculation I made in Microsoft Excel, my analysis, I think we should move 2 million from this account to this account, right? It's like, the um so let's see here. Yeah, I've seen a lot of schools that, and if they don't, you'd have to do it on your own, like take a course online, learn on YouTube, because it's just so important to know Microsoft Excel. So it's extremely versatile. Yes, finance degree is very versatile. It's a huge industry, finance. Like, there's so many ways. Once you have your finance degree, that's your ticket to getting into the industry. But once you're in the industry, you just gotta work hard, right? And if you're able to work really hard and you discover the things you like, the things you don't like, you can go any direction. You can go up in the same company. You can go horizontally, right? Or is it vertically? Yeah, so in the same company, like where you get promoted until you get to the highest position you can get, or you can go horizontally where you can go to other companies, right? And you can move up on there. So it's so easy to move around in the industry. It's just a matter of your willingness to learn new skills and things like that. Uh, what's a good minor for finance? I would say Python programming. It's a good skill to have. Uh, Good minor for finance. Accounting, if you want to do that, that's really great as well. Uh, what else? Those are the ones I can think of right now. But there's a lot more. Measuring in finance and accounting is just is that a good combo? Yes, it's really great. Accounting and finance is really great. You're gonna have a lot of opportunities because they're so connected, accounting and finance, that it's easy to move from one. I've even worked at like an accounting position, and it wasn't because I was a finance major, but it's so easy to learn. The skills you learn in finance are transferable to accounting, and in accounting transferable to finance. But if you have them both, you don't have to have that learning curve, then you're gonna be great. Can you be a data scientist with the finance or economics degree if you have programming skills? That's actually a good combo if you're a data scientist, because if you really think about it, I'm talking about how Excel is really important and how it's like the hottest thing you can have right now, to know how to use Microsoft Excel. Now, if you're a data scientist, you actually have, knowing how to use Microsoft Excel is cool. You know how to use formulas and all, but if you're a data scientist, you understand how to clean up data, how to store data, how to, destroy data, how to, you have more of an advantage. And if you combine that with finance knowledge, you're gonna be applying those skills you have as a data scientist to with your finance knowledge, and you're just gonna be on top. I have an econ degree, thinking about data science as a career. Well, yeah, data science is a great career. Like, it's really great. And if you combine that with finance, you can work for so many companies doing really important things and projects and things like that. But data science is a great, and honestly, with data science, um, I wouldn't get I don't think there's a major called data science. I would not get a major in data science. You can do it as a minor or get a certificate, because the people that have the highest jobs in data science, they have certificates. So having a degree is just gonna kind of like wasting your time, right? So you want to get it as a minor or as a certificate for that certification. I think that is pretty much it for tonight. I was gonna do it for 1 hour, but it ended up being 2 hours. Uh, but yeah, so that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna do the same thing on Sunday next week. I guess I'll post the time. Today was just, it was just random, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, next Sunday we're gonna do the same thing. When I live stream on Sunday, I'm gonna be answering, some of the comments, and I'm gonna have a topic. If you guys have any topics, feel free to, you can always DM me on Instagram if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, or you can leave a comment. I'm gonna post this stream as well. on the channel. So if you want to go back to it and reference certain things, you can always watch it. But with that being said, yeah, that is pretty much. I hope you guys have a good night. I have work tomorrow in the morning, yeah, so I do have to go to sleep. But I hope you guys have a good night. I'll see you guys maybe in the next video or in the next live stream on Sunday. But I'll probably try to make some videos this week. And if you have any topics, um, I don't have a topic yet for next week. For Andrew, that's asking. But if you have any topic you want me to talk about, I'm pretty open. You can follow me on Instagram, and you can just shoot me a DM and tell me whatever topic you want me to cover, and I'll be sure to consider that. But I'll see you guys on the next one, and I hope you guys have a good night and a good Sunday.